Hello children, let's understand very important characteristics of the particles. So what are we going to discuss? That there are very important characteristics of particles of matter. So the first characteristic we have is particles of matter have space between them. Such spaces are known as interparticle spaces. What do we call them, children? We call them interparticle spaces. So the question is, where are the spaces? When we are saying that particles of matter have spaces between them, think about the activity where we dissolved salt or sugar in water. What happened? The point was, when we added salt and sugar in water, the level of water did not rise. Why? Because the salt or the sugar particles, they dissolve into the spaces. They took the positions or the spaces in the water molecules. So, for example, see this water molecules. This is water, right? So, there are particles in this. See, these are the particles of water molecules, right? Now, these particles are far away from each other. Do you see spaces between them? Yes, there is a lot of space in between them. So, these spaces can be occupied by other particles of matter because they are very tiny. So, when you put salt or sugar, they take the spaces here, right? They take all these spaces. So, the particles of salt, they can occupy these small spaces because they are very tiny. They are very small in size. And the level of the water does not rise up. It clearly indicates that even when we add salt or sugar or potassium permanganate, there are spaces in between the particles of water such that the salt can occupy the space in between the particles. It clearly indicates that there are spaces in the particles and the particles are very tiny. So, when you see this particular example, what do you see here? This dark purple coloration is because of KMnO4, right? It is potassium permanganate. Children, this potassium permanganate can easily dissolve in water because, again, if these are water molecules, when we see at the microscopic levels, there are interparticle spaces between them. There are spaces between them which are known as interparticle spaces. So, the potassium permanganate particles can also fit into the spaces between the water molecules, just like salt or sugar, and therefore it can easily dissolve in water. So what can we conclude? Can we say that there is enough space between the individual particles of matter? And what do we call such individual particles? Spaces, we can say that interparticle spaces, right? And can we say that one type of particles get fit into another particles? Yes. So here also it is happening. Salt is one type of particle. It is mixing into, it is taking the position into the other kind of particles, which is water. Hence, we can say there are spaces between the particles. I hope you have understood. Thank you.